Hello, Lucy here, and welcome to Thought for the Day. It's very strange sitting talking here to my iPad, but I'm going to imagine that I'm talking to a few people at least from our church family. And we are having to find new ways to connect at this very strange time. Steve and I keep talking about how often the word unprecedented comes up in the news, and it is a lot, but it's true. It is such a strange, surreal time in so many ways, and we're all being impacted by it in different ways. And whether some of us might be enjoying part of that, um, others of us, I'm sure, are finding a lot of it very difficult, whether that be because it's impacting on our finances, on our relationships, not being able to see people that we really care about, whether it's meaning we're having lots of time on our own, or even spending a lot of time with one person that we might find challenging. Not talking about you, Steve, I promise. But whatever it is, on a serious note, that can bring difficulties, and it is hard. And we have God to help us in that, but it doesn't mean that it's hard. It's not easy, and only God really knows exactly how it's impacting on us emotionally, spiritually, physically. Um, and we're so fortunate that we have God to lean on when many people don't have that. And I often think how blessed I am that I have God to lean on at this time. But it's really important that we know we can still connect with each other, because God has provided us with church family, with relationships, and has provided us and created us for relationships. And part of the reason this is hard is because we are isolated from each other in many ways. So finding ways to still connect is really important. Um, and also finding different ways to connect with God too sometimes, because church isn't just about church on a Sunday, obviously, but connecting with each other as Christians and connecting with each other on a Sunday is part of sometimes how we connect with God. And finding ways of, looking things up on the internet or listening to worship music, finding other ways of seeking that relationship with God at this time is just so important to keep our relationship fresh and to keep it alive, and to help us to be able to lean on God at this time when we can feel quite isolated and we can feel quite alone. I found it really helpful that actually it's been around Easter time, and just looking at how Jesus was round the time of the cross. I found Gordon's talk on the Garden of Gethsemane particularly helpful, in that it talked about he talked about Jesus being so real in the Garden of Gethsemane. I've mentioned on Sunday about the fact that I've been thinking about our vision statement quite a lot recently, and the importance at the moment of being able to be authentic, and about connection and being more like Jesus. And Jesus was just so authentic. Gordon talked about the fact that he was real with his Father, and asked that the suffering that was to come that be taken away from him. And in many ways you could think, well, surely that was a bit disobedient, because he was asking for it to be taken away when that was part of what God was asking him to do. But he was real with God about how he felt. He knew how painful and how what was coming, and he was real with God that actually he didn't want to have to go through it. He was real about how he felt. And it just really hit me over again that actually God wants us to be real. He doesn't want us to have a false front on and say, I'm a Christian, so I have to pretend everything's all right, because otherwise I've not got enough faith, otherwise I'm not a good enough Christian. He wants us to be real with him and say when we're struggling, and just to be able to be honest about it with him, because he knows anyway. So it's not really much point in pretending apart from anything else. But he does want us to be real and have that real relationship with him. And also, he wants us to be real with other people as well. And Jesus was real with his disciples. He was disappointed with them when they fell asleep, and he told them so. But he also had them there, and he asked them to pray for him, because he knew he needed them to pray for him. And that's really important as well, because God made us for relationship and for connection. And we need each other. And we need each other at this time. We need each other to celebrate with good times, and we need each other to be there in the difficult times. And if we're not real with each other, then we can't do that. We can't be there for each other. We can't ask for prayer. And that includes times when actually we're finding it hard to pray, when we're finding maybe God isn't, we don't feel that he's there, and we're just finding it hard. Sometimes we just need to say to one of our, brothers and sisters in the church, actually I'm struggling to pray at the moment. Can you pray for me? And just to be real about it and not be worried about what they're going to think about that. We need to be able to do that sometimes and know that that's okay. Jesus needed his disciples sometimes around them, and so how much more do we? We talk about wanting to be more like Jesus, or sometimes we need to kind of see how Jesus was and how real he was, and be able to be real like he was. And I just found that really inspiring and encouraging, that's okay, and that's okay to be real. And so I just really hope that you're able to share, that you're able to find ways to connect at this time, and also that you're able to find ways to lean on Jesus and know that actually God is there for us at this time, that we're not alone, that he never leaves us nor forsakes us, that he's our fortress and our refuge and our tower of strength. And I know that he will always be there. And I just like to pray for us right now and just ask that he will help us to be able to be real with him and with each other, and that he'll help us to find ways to connect, even though it's hard at this time. So I'm just going to pray. Oh Lord, I just thank you that you are such an example to us, Lord. I thank you so much that you came down to earth and showed us how to live, Lord. Sometimes we forget that you have set us an example in so many ways. And I thank you that you were so real and you didn't pretend. And I thank you that you connected with people in such an amazing way. And you were able to connect with people from all walks of life. You reached out to people, and you also reached out to people when you needed them. You reached out to your friends. And I just pray for each one of us at this time that we will know when to reach out to people and be real with people. And I just thank you that you are always there for each one of us. And I thank you so much. Amen.